available. So, right, okay, it's recording now. Okay, so as I said, we have the phase 1 board, which includes all the issues that have been approved and kind of validated as well. So the first one we will have a look at today is the group products not associated on import. Basically, when you're importing group products, the products themselves will be imported, but they would not be assigned. So you'd have your group product, but no simpler products assigned to it. Peter, where are we? Peter already has this pull request. It is against the main repository. I'm not 100% sure whether it will stay there or whether we'll migrate this to our repository, but that's something we want to discuss in this meeting as well. And this issue is being processed by Matthias at the moment. So as far as I understand, there was an issue with getting the product SKUs with a capital S rather than with a lowercase. So hopefully this issue, this pull request will fix that issue. And once the review is being completed, it will go on to the testing step as well. And then at that point, we'll go through. So hopefully there will be nothing to do with this one. And if there is, it'll probably be up to Peter to do it since it's assigned to him. But if you would like to, you can jump into that issue. You can have a look at it, and you can also have a look at the pull request. So if you feel like you have, if you want to make a comment or a review, then feel free to jump onto that one. All right. Then the next one, which is also assigned, we have assigned to Federico. I hope I don't mispronounce anything. Apologies if I do. And this is, okay, good. It's basically that you can, if you import a SKU and it contains space in it, then you will get 2 products which technically are having issues with SKUs. The problem I think here is that it's not so much that there is something going wrong, it's that if you do something in the admin section, it behaves one way, but if you do something with the import, it behaves a completely different way. Federico, maybe you can jump in here because you've done some research on this already.
Yeah, so the thing is, when you, 1 second. The thing is, you create, when you create a product with the trailing white space, from the admin, it allows you to do that. When you also, let me check, because I don't want to be wrong with my description. Yes. Yes. So the issue is when you edit, when you create a new product from the admin and the SKU already exists, Magento will append a -1 or a -2 to the SKU. Basically overriding the SKU that you entered. When you do the same from the import functionality, it will throw you an error instead of behaving the same. So the main thing here, in my perspective, is to define what would be the preferred way from Magento, what would be the correct way to handle SKUs that already exists, and change this so it behaves the same between the admin and the import export process. Does it make sense?
Yeah. For me, that makes sense. So basically, we need to figure out what the behavior should be, and ideally, I don't think they should be different, but I'm not sure. We also had 2 other comments, one from Peter and one from another user. I don't know what their name would be, but basically saying that especially on the import, the SKUs will be coming from an SAP or an ERP system, and so the SKUs themselves should not be manipulated from the Magento system. Yeah. So Peter's basically saying that, yeah, SKUs come from the ERP or SAP system, and so in that case, we shouldn't be manipulating them. In his opinion, that the admin behavior is wrong, where it will, rather than throw an error, it will actually modify the SKU. I think it also trims off the white space via the admin, which is part of the issue. So you can't create a SKU with leading or trailing white space via the admin. And the other person responded saying that, again, they don't think it's a good idea to append, maybe throwing an exception, displaying that to the user. In that case, I think in this case, both people are saying that we shouldn't be manipulating the SKU. But I'd like to discuss that here a little bit. Maybe one of the 2 Eugenes has an idea about this from kind of the Magento core point of view. Or anyone else, if anyone else has an opinion here, then it'd be good to discuss that, and then we can figure out a way forward here.
In my opinion, we had at my work quite a few cases where we integrate with ERP systems. So I agree with Peter about modifying the SKU will bring problems, with integrations with other systems. So I just agree with that comment.
How would that behave? Would that behave differently via the admin or as well as the import there? So if an admin was to enter a duplicate SKU, would you expect it to throw an error to the user saying the SKU already exists, or would you expect it to try and build a unique SKU from what you've entered?
I would expect to get an error,
okay,
notifying the user that there is some data, incorrect data, trying to be saved.
I would support that approach, because ideally user should either manage the SKU, so it should not be unpredictable for him.
Okay, so in my opinion, it should be something like some error should be displayed to a user. Like if we are going to add something like 1 or 2 or something else in implemented ID, so one can also add his own SKU, so it can cause problem. So I think we should display some error to the user.
Okay, cool. Sounds like it's fairly unanimous there. Great, thank you, Adam. Yeah, it sounds like it's pretty unanimous there with regards to the admin section that should be updated to show that this product already exists. At that point, you could always consider adding a link or something to the error message directing the user to that specific product. That might be a nice idea. So then with regards to the import, we would just have to be careful with regards to if you have the same SKU. If you have the same SKU multiple times in the CSV, then that becomes an error in this case, because we're not sure which one of the SKUs to take. Rather than taking the first one or taking the second one, I would suggest at that point becomes invalid CSV. What does anyone else have an opinion there from that one? Okay. If not, then I think that's fairly okay, explanatory. So Federico, if I leave that with you, would you be okay to update the ticket with what we've discussed? And then also feel free, since we already talked about this, you can start working on this issue as it is. And of course, if you need any help, that's what we're here for. Reach out to either me or someone else in the team. I understand, I appreciate that it's relatively early for people to contribute, so we're here to support you as best as we can. So if you need, I don't know, pair programming or any kind of assistance, yeah, that's what we're here for.
Mm-hmm. Sure, I can. Just one question.
Yeah.
This ticket, so this ticket will cover also the modification, the admin, so it doesn't happen the -1, it just throw you the error, the admin. I mean, we are talking about here not only the import-export functionality, but how the admin works. So just to be completely sure that this ticket will cover that change as well.
Yeah, personally, I would suggest that we cover both, because we want to have the functionality the same. But if you would like to, we could always consider having 2 people work on this, 1 person work on the admin and 1 person work on the import, if you think that would be beneficial here.
Okay, I will take a look and let you know. Yes.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Just, let us know if you need anything, and if you want someone else to help you out here as well. Anyone from the community also can help here as well.
Sure.
All right. Thank you. Okay, so that is the first one on board. And then the next one is a very interesting, complex and interesting one. I think this is probably one of the harder ones that is in the system. And it's basically that the system, as it stands, the system doesn't allow you to empty data, essentially, with the import. If you enter an empty value in the CSV, unless it's set as a static value, I believe, then it will just be unset and never imported. And we've had a few options on how to deal with it, and we currently have a pull request. This one. We currently have a pull request in place to the engcom import export. Oh yeah. So if anyone is doing work on these issues, the pull requests go to the engcom import export improvements rather than the main repository. That would be great. I didn't do this. I just migrated the pull request. So again, anyone can pick this one up and continue it. It was Roma that started on this. And basically the solution that was in place at the moment is that there is essentially a value that you can enter to any row, and it will trigger Magento to clear that row, or to delete the data. Let's put it that way. We were talking about this in the original pull request, which is here. And we were talking about the fact that this is kind of counterintuitive, and I would love it to be that if there is an empty value in the CSV, that it would be treated as you want to delete it. And that does cause, could cause, or does cause in this case, a few issues. He had already set it up that way. Let me hope that this is the... yeah, okay. So basically, when there was an empty value in place, you can export on the multi-store instead. And it will export all the store values, which is fine. But some of them will become... But then when you re-import that exported information, then at that point you would cause some issues. So what I would like in this case with this issue is if someone is willing to pick it up and to kind of review the options we have here and maybe suggest what would be the best way forward. My opinion is I'd love it so that we didn't have to use a constant or didn't have to use some kind of string in the CSV. But of course, we need to make sure that that doesn't cause any issues when you're importing things. So if anyone currently feels like they would like to take on that issue, or maybe let's just open this issue up, and if anyone has any comments about it or would like to take on this issue, then yeah, feel free to talk about it now. Anyone? I know, Eugene, we talked about this previously, not Toluca, the other one, sorry. We talked about this previously with regards to not liking the idea of the constant. Yeah.
Yes, I didn't particularly like the idea with some hard-coded constants. I suggested, as far as I remember, using some default MySQL values. So let's say the null means that fill this field with the default value for the database. But the problem with this is that it introduces backwards incompatibility from the functional point of view. So any new behavior to this basically should be configurable, like some buttons, some config in the system configuration. To be honest, I can't remember now the details because we've had some discussions indeed, but it's like a month ago. So I will take a look again at this and maybe drop some comments on the pull request or issue itself.
Okay. Does anyone from the kind of community group feel like they would like to take this on at the moment in terms of helping out with the research and coming up with an option, or should we? Otherwise, we can wait a little bit for Eugene's kind of research there as well. I'm okay with either options. I'll take silence as we'll wait for feedback on this one. It's a tough one, I understand. And I myself, I'm not entirely sure what the best approach is. I just know what I would like from the CSV. I don't know how that would look out. Okay, cool. Then let me close that. Okay. So the next one we have is yeah, so basically this is to do with importing and exporting when you have different locales. So there are certain values that take on the string value, such as visibility. I think visibility is a good example of this one. And because it's a string value, depending on what locale you have in place, you will get different results. So in this case, in the case that the person has noted, yeah, here we go. They're using the Spanish pack, and when they use the actual Spanish translation, which is what you get when you run the export as an admin in the Spanish locale, when you then run the import, it doesn't match because the import doesn't know what locale you're trying to do, I think. Hang on, I'm just rereading that. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so if you import the products using a different locale from the one you made the export, then you have the issue. I previously talked to Peter about this, and we thought about changing it to using the IDs or a combination of ID and string, but personally, I'm not a big fan of that, as we want this import and export to be usable, but to be human readable or human understandable as far as I get it. And in that case, using an integer value for your drop-down options is not ideal. So yeah, again, this is another issue where we're looking for someone to come in and figure out what would be the better option, what they could consider as a good option here, and help out from that point of view. There is currently nothing apart from this person talking about the different validation of the options. So yeah, these are kind of the main high priority issues, the four here. In this call at the moment, we have a few people. Where do I find it? Here we go. We have 6 people. So there are 3 of us from Magento and 3 community members. There are more issues in here, but these are these 4 have been kind of highlighted as the higher priority issues. Does anyone feel like this is the sort of thing they would like to take on, this issue with regards to locale and options? Obviously, when it comes with regards to building a solution, then I'd like myself or someone else from the Magento team, we can work through the solution option or the design of the solution with you. So you would be well supported here as well. Okay. Okay, and then we do have a few more issues. We have, like I said, we have 10. I just wanted to discuss the kind of the high priority ones at this point. Federico, thank you very much for taking on that other issue. And yeah, as I said, please have a look through them and see if there's anything from those to do that you think you would really like to take on. I would encourage you, feel free to take a risk and we will support you. So if you don't feel comfortable with something, this is about learning and about we're here to help you out as best as possible. So feel free to I don't know, to come and talk to us and say, I'll help out with the empty rows. I'll help Eugene kind of figure out a few options, or you'll help me figure out something as well. That would be great. Okay, so there are a few other things I'd like to talk about with this call. The next one is with regards to migrating of issues or pull requests. So at the moment we have, I think they've all just been migrated, yeah. So basically there is a script, there is a script that will migrate anything with the import export flag, and it will migrate it across to this new repository. We don't currently have anything in place that will do the same thing with the pull requests. Part of me would be happy to leave the pull requests in the import export. This will be kind of partially my job or one of my roles in this. I think what would be important is to make sure that we haven't already started something else. So if a pull request comes into the main repository, to make sure that someone inside the import export isn't already working on this bug or this feature. So that's something myself and Piotr will kind of look at to make sure that we've either migrated the issues or we're keeping communicating about the pull requests and making sure we don't have an overlap here. Does anyone have any strong opinions with regards to migrating a pull request across? I migrated one across because it needed more work and we were going to pick it up. And I've left these 3 because as far as I can see, they're relatively far on in terms of quality, in terms of fixing it. So I don't see an issue with, I don't see a need to migrate these across if they're already pretty close to being approved. Maybe this is more a question for Eugene Tuluka. And, I don't know how. Sorry?
Can you repeat the question?
No, I'm not sure whether we should migrate these pull requests across or just leave them as they are. I think we should just leave them for now.
Yes, I agree, because it doesn't matter where they are processed or closed.
That's true. That's true. Okay, cool. Then I will just keep an eye out and make sure that we don't have any duplicate effort between the two repositories. That answers that. That's nice and easy. Okay, then the final thing that I need from you is if you are interested in getting involved. I already have a few, but I would need more your GitHub account so that we can send invitations so you have the right permissions to the import-export repository. In that case, you can assign the issue to yourself, and you should also be able to work with the board so you can move the ticket into the right column. So feel free to just either message me in Slack or send an email across. I think everyone has my email anyway, and I can add you in. And then finally, does anyone have any questions or kind of thoughts at the moment? And if not, then I have one question, but I'll just let you guys, if you have any questions, feel free to raise them now, and then afterwards I can ask you my question.
So how many projects do you think will be there? Like for this time, I can see there are 2 projects and having like 10 issues in each project. And for the next time, will we be replicating all the issues from the Magento repository to this repository, Magento Engineering Com, and then we will make the pull request?
So so the 2 projects in here is just from kind of my point of view to work on making it a bit more obvious as to which are the higher priority issues and which are the lower priority issues. If new issues come into the Magento the Magento main repository, then of course we'll migrate them across. We will also discuss priority with new issues or ongoing issues as well in these meetings. So if something comes in and we decide, yes, this is a high priority, then at that point we can triage it and make sure that it's in the appropriate phase, so to say. But my plan is just to have these phase 1 is the high priority, which we can work on. And then once those are complete, we move on to phase 2 and so on and so forth. So I don't know, does that answer your questions? Okay, cool. With regards to pull requests, in an ideal world to this repository, because that's where the issues are. But if you make it to with existing pull requests, I don't really mind. Like we talked about, we won't migrate existing, but if it's new pull requests, yes, to this repository, please. And there should be enough information on the wiki. If there isn't, feel free. I think you should have permission to update the wiki if there's something missing, or just raise it with me and I can also update it at that point. Okay?
Okay.
Cool. Any other questions? Okay. Then I do have one final question, I guess, which is, do you feel it useful to have a kind of a weekly meeting like this to say, okay, here are issues I've been having with the work or anything else? Do you feel it's too much, or for example, MSI have weekly meetings, and I believe in those meetings they will demo new features or new pull requests, bug fixes as well. So we could do something similar. It's just up to the team whether they feel they need it. Piotr Kaminski is the PO from the Magento side, so we will demo stuff with him. It's just whether we need it every week or whether we want to kind of. I would suggest maybe at the beginning to do it weekly, just because I think people are getting into kind of helping out and doing the open source thing, and then we can take it from there. So would that work for everyone?
I'm okay with weekly meetings.
Yeah, I'm okay with weekly.
Okay, cool. Yeah, then what I'll do is I'll set this up as a weekly, and try and find a time that is best for everyone. I think because of the split in our time zones, around this time works for most people, unless I'm mistaken. And then it would be more just finding a day that works for everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a kind of late for me. It's
okay.
9 p.m. here, so.
Okay.
Okay. So the earlier you can do is better for me.
Okay, then I'll try and figure out I'll use the world meeting clock and try and figure out a good time between all our time zones. Okay, cool. So then, yeah, I think that covers pretty much everything. What I would love people to do is just to have a look over the issues that are in the phase 1 board, and try and find something that they feel comfortable or maybe a little bit uncomfortable taking, but are willing to kind of take it and to work on it. Feel free, if you've found something or if you have any other questions, to come to me, and just we can talk through stuff. We can talk through the design and that sort of thing. And we also have a core architect assigned to this project. So if we feel the need, for example, the empty rows, we might feel we want to get more of the Magento core team involved at that point with the discussions. Yeah, that's something we are more than willing to do, and we can do. We also have a QA assigned, or we will do. I'm not sure if it's finalized as yet, but we'll have some Magento QA involved as well. So that should help out from that side as well. Okay. So feel free to let me know what tasks you're interested in taking on. And so from now, basically, till the end of the quarter, the end of the quarter, we'll be trying to squash as many bugs as we can. Also, if you feel like it, you can have a look through the other issues, and say if you feel that something is a higher priority or should be higher priority, or then we can also discuss that as well. For the future meetings, I think we will set it up. We can discuss issues. So if someone's developing something, if they have something they want to discuss or something to demo, otherwise we will use it to kind of reassign tasks and reprioritize tasks. Okay?
Okay.
Great.
All right.
All right. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.